Welcome back to our second and final episode of Pimp My CRV. We've got a bunch of performance parts to put on, and then we can reveal this car to my brother. If you guys caught the first episode, we worked on the exterior of this vehicle. Dave gave this thing a polish and a ceramic coat, so it is looking mighty fine. I ended up working on these headlights, replacing them and putting in these projectors, these Morimoto projectors from the retrofit source, and we did some taillights in the rear and a spoiler. But today we have a lot to get finished, so let's start off with performance parts, and we're going right under the hood. Wow, this engine bay is filthy. This car has 321,000 kilometers, 200,000 miles, and it has been undercoated, as you can see by the copious amounts of undercoat spray that now has dirt and soot and everything on it. I gotta say, DP, this valve cover is looking really sad. I wonder if we have time. If we can just paint this, I would be happy with it. So we'll see. Maybe we can find a little bit of time at the end to paint this up because it looks so bad. And the objective under here is really to add 200 horsepower. No, not really. We're not doing a turbo kit. I would love to case swap it, but that's just not going to happen. We're just going to simply replace the stock intake. Check out this big old unit with a AEM unit, which is a short ram intake. Simple, easy to do. The CRV doesn't actually have an intake available from AEM, but I know the 96 to 01 Integra, I think it's like LSGS, will fit into here, and we'll bolt this up. And really the main objective of this for us is just to add a little bit of sound and excitement to this engine, because it does sound a little meh when you're driving down the street. So let's bolt this thing in and see how it looks. 5 minutes later, we have ourselves an intake. I'm excited to hear this thing. I bet you, like back in the day, this used to pick up what, like 5 horsepower, DP?
Yeah, about that. And being red, I'd give it 7 horsepower.
Oh, okay, yeah, and a sticker, so maybe we're at 10.
Could be.
Before I show you what we've got in store for our exhaust system, we need to remove the factory one, and I don't think it's ever been off of here. It looks like it's been patched and welded up in a couple of spots, but these bolts that connect to the catalytic converter are just rotten. Like, they're gone. This flange looks like it's almost fused together, and my concern here is that this is a stud that goes through, and then the nut was on the other side. So this is gonna require a lot of cutting, maybe some heat, so let's get to it. And this is the harsh reality of removing a very old exhaust system. But check out the hack job that somebody did here. They just said, forget the flange. I'm just gonna like goober weld and then use a U-joint on there. And oh man, bad news there. So thankfully this is all gone. However, what we now are left with is trying to punch out these studs here because we want to be able to reuse this catalytic converter. Unfortunately, these things are like crazy expensive these days, so we're not going to be replacing this with an aftermarket unit. The Honda stuff is still good. This one's good. To extract these studs, we're using the old hammer, the bench here, and we're just hammering it down. And as you can see, the stud eventually does pop out like that, and that'll give us the opportunity to use a nut and bolt there. This one is almost out. There we are. All right. Well, that is good news. We are going to be able to save this cat. Here it is, our exhaust system for the CRV from Yonaka Motorsports. This is a 2.5-inch mandrel bent stainless steel system. It's not raspy, it's not loud. After all, this is my brother's daily driver, so I'm just trying to add a little bit of noise, not a lot. And personally, I love the look of it. The rolled tip looks very nice. I think it's subtle. It's kind of got an OEM plus look. And of course, this being stainless steel is gonna last probably the lifetime of this vehicle now. So let's get this bolted up. Looks like a rusty flange worked out. Actually, we bolted it up with the Yonaka supplied nuts and bolts and the gasket, and it looks true. So I don't think we're gonna have a leaker there. And the rest of the system, well, it's pretty nice. We got no issues, nothing's banging. It's a 2.5 inch, as I mentioned before, so we may see a slight increase in power. We may, you never know. These B-Series, they do like to breathe.
I don't know about you guys, but I've always loved the idea of like building a CRV, lowering it, and pimping it out a bit. So it's really exciting to be making this step where we install these K-tuned K1 street coilovers. As the name suggests, these are designed for street use. So they are not going to make the truck really like harsh on the street. It should have a really nice ride quality, but you know, add some sportiness to that. All right, that corner is done, and man, gotta love working on a double wishbone Honda. It's the simplest thing in the world.
So easy, that was so good.
Man, it takes me back to my youth, and now that we've got the front done, let's move out back and finish it off back there.
Normally it's Dave picking the easy job, but this time I've got it, which is the rear. 1 bolt down here, 2 nuts up top, and this shock should come right out. Yes, look at that one. She's rusty, but she came out, and let me tell you, when I did the other side, I've already cheated, I did the other side, and I tried to remove this bolt. Guess what happened? This right here, and this is such a typical Honda thing on Rust Belt cars, where the bolt seizes into the bushing, and then the bushing spins in the shock mount right here. So I had to cut both sides off, and then use a new bolt and whatnot. Once again, I love the 90s cars. They've thought of everything. On a modern car, this plastic piece would be one piece rather than have this opening for this, the shock to access it, and then you have to pull the whole panel off. Here, look at that. It's just taking that cover off, and we've got these 2 nuts that I'm gonna loosen up, and then we can drop the shock out. I may have spoken too soon. This is gonna be a 2-person job. You can't just pull the shock out here because the suspension's kind of loaded up. So DP is gonna work as my anchor here. Oh yeah, she's coming. There we go, okay. Wow. Whew. Well, that was a lot more work than I expected. Thankfully, these are shorter, so this install here will be very, very simple. Oh, I should put it into here first. Down into here. And now slide that up into place.
So the other thing you have to do with these, of course, is since they're 32-way adjustable for rebound, you want to set your rebound up for what your intended use is. If you want to go softer for the street, you want to go firmer for the track. So K-Tune supplies this adjuster, which just plugs into the top of the damper here, as I'll show you in a moment. Drop it in there. It's basically like an Allen key. You can feel it click in. So to go softer, I'm going to go counterclockwise, and to go harder, I'm going to go clockwise. For the street, I'm going to set it up about 1/3 from full soft, so that he's got more compliance, you know, better ride quality. So these were set at full soft out of the box, so I'm going to put like 10 clicks into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the reason I'm setting that up is because I want a little bit of dampening on the street. I find if you go to the extreme end of the adjustability range, either full stiff or full soft, it doesn't do a great job. The dampers are usually happier somewhere closer to the middle. So we'll go 10 soft in the front. And then of course I can adjust the handling balance of a vehicle by setting the rear relative to the front so that we can dial out some understeer or dial out some oversteer depending on what the case may be. So this car I assume was going to understeer, and if we want to dial some of that out, then I would put some extra rebound in the rear relative to the front. But this is going to be a street car. I'm just going to set it at 10 on all 4 corners. Well, we had to call in the professionals on this one. This is Luke from 242 Customs, everybody, and we showed you this bad sort of rust spot here. And since you mixed up some paint to paint the bumpers, you figured you'd come over and bail us out a bit
just
on this?
blow some paint on it rather than you guys putting a brush to it or a roller or something.
We were
like
just
that.
literally going to put it on there with our finger.
We'll do a little blow-in on it, and then you can polish it back up. And
So you're going to sort of like try to blend it a
yeah,
bit?
blend the base off, blend the clear off, and polish it back once it's dry.
So you've prepped it a bit with a little bit of sandpaper?
Yeah, and then you do a little light sanding up top so that the clear kind of sticks to it.
Yep.
And then you polish it back up here, and it'll be 85%.
That's all we're looking for around here.
That's it.
I'm about 85% myself, so let's get to it. All right, Luke, what am I looking at here?
There it is. So basically to here, you can see the overspray.
Yep.
Base only came up to where we needed it to.
Yep.
Clear past it. The fuzz and the overspray, you're gonna wet sand that back with 2000. Light sand, polish it back, and you probably won't even notice.
Now that Luke's blended that in for us, it's time to put on the front bumper and get a real sense of how this thing looks complete again with these freshly painted bumpers. And man, I'm excited to see how it looks rather than those faded plastic gray bumpers. So
It looks so good, so much better than it was.
it modernizes the look a lot, don't you feel?
It really does, yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked on the headlights, the fresh paint. It's looking great out front. So let's jump out back and see how it looks back there.
Man, I am kind of speechless how good this looks back here. One thing to note, Luke didn't paint this plastic trim piece right here, so it integrates nicely into the body. And the exhaust is looking so good, nice and subtle right against this paint. Up here we've got the spoiler. Once again, Luke painted this piece, so now it's like just nicely and integrates into the rear area so well. As you guys just saw, last minute game time decision to strip the valve cover. I had to do it. It was just making this engine bay look so ugly. And as you just witnessed, a little bit of aircraft stripper worked wonders on this. So this is nice and clean now. What I'm gonna do is fire up the Wrinkle Plus VHT paint, spray this on, and then I'll show you guys my technique on how to get it to dry to look really nice. There it is, a nice thick coat of that VHT wrinkle. And on the instructions of that can, it says to put on three coats and like let it dry in between coats. But I've learned you just grab a heat gun and then you just start heating it up and that'll create that wrinkle. So watch this happen here. It does take a little bit of time. There it goes. Can you see that? See, it's starting to wrinkle up now. And it's like, moving my heat gun, it just magically starts appearing. And I'm gonna do this to the whole valve cover. What a transformation. All you gotta do is paint a valve cover and the engine bay looks so much cleaner. This wrinkle black, as I said, once it dries, it kind of like tightens up and it looks factory fresh, I think. I managed to just zip this off a little bit for that OEM look. Speaking of OEM, I thought long and hard about painting this, and if you guys don't know what this is, it's like a weird intake box. It's just, it plugs directly into the intake manifold, and I guess it just creates more volume. Might be a torque thing, who knows? But I thought about painting it, and then I said, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it. I like the color of it. I'd have to really clean it up, so that stays as is. So, the engine bay is done. There's one last job that I've been dreading and have left behind here, and that is doing that oil pan. Jake's making us work on this one, DP.
Man, you can tell I'm rusty on my Honda knowledge because I forgot there's a thing here called a pickup, which makes it hard to pull the pan out. So we did have to loosen the downpipe. But thankfully these 3 big studs here were pretty cooperative. Pete put some heat into them, as you saw. Everything else came undone easily enough, and we don't have to completely remove it. We just needed it to sag enough that we could clear the pan to the pickup. So it is out, and man, it is just filthy caked with oil all around there. So you can certainly see that it was the seal that failed. There's no other signs of oil anywhere else really. So we'll clean all this up. We'll clean up the pan because it's out. Now's the time to do it. So typically this seal, this rubber seal, would just come right off, but it is on here super tight. And at first we thought maybe it's just like baked on, but if you look down in here, as I try to peel this away, you can see there's like some kind of adhesive in there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that turned into a huge job just to clean this pan up, because that original gasket, and I'm pretty sure that is the original gasket, was baked on here so hard that we could not get it off. We ended up running like a knife underneath it, and then there was lots of like baked rubber left on the mating surface here. In hindsight, I don't think there was any adhesive in there. I think it was just baked so hard for so long that it just sort of like bonded really aggressively to the metal. So in the end, Pete took a bit of a wire brush to it, which is why you can see there's areas where the paint came off, but at least all the rubber's off. So we should have a pretty true surface now, but I am going to take the precaution of putting a thin layer of Honda Bond on this surface. It looks like Jake sourced us an aftermarket seal.
Velcro.
All the more reason to maybe use a little bit of Honda Bond, because I think this is quite a bit stiffer, harder than the OE one, which is like a softer rubbery material. So we'll put a thin layer top and bottom. There you go, all torqued down and ready to hold oil in the sump for a very long time, we hope. By the way, when I jumped online to look up the torque spec and sequence, which by the way is 9 foot-pounds or 12 Newton meters, and you go crisscross, as you'd expect, to get nice even pressure on the pan, I noticed a link to this Velcro gasket. So out of curiosity, I jumped on there, and turns out this gasket is designed very specifically for B series, which are known to have leaking problems when people come in and like try to tighten the bolts down even further when the gasket's leaking. That actually can cause dimples in the metal here from over tightening these bolts, and it'll just leak even more. This gasket has apparently like 2 hard layers inside of the rubber that prevents, or it's like a torque limiting layer in there, so you can't over tighten them and you won't damage the pan. So maybe it's a solution to a problem that Honda 20 years ago didn't think of, and this Velcro gasket is actually superior. Not a paid ad for Velcro, just looked it up on the internet. Jake bought this gasket himself. So Jake, I don't know if you researched it or you just got lucky, but well done, son. One of the benefits of having done that oil pan gasket job is that Jake gets a fresh fill of our favorite stuff, Valvoline Full Synthetic. This is the high mileage blend, and this is of course a high mileage car, so it's got a bunch of additives and stuff in it that help it prevent from burning off the oil. And by the way, Jake, we think you put about a year's worth of driving on that last fill. It's a good thing that you had Valvoline in there already.
15K almost.
15K. So
The oil filter was marked August 19th, so almost a year from now, or ago.
Do better, Jake. Do better. Anyway, we just need.
He's a busy man, you know. He's shipping all those orders and whatnot.
It's true. This is it, everybody. The one thing that changes the look of your car more than anything else, and that of course is the wheel and tire package. For that, we have gone with this Koenig Oversteer in a 17x8 plus 35 offset. And obviously it is in their gloss black finish, which I think is gonna look really cool. It's gonna give it that murdered out look, which I think it's gonna look awesome. So I'm pumped to put them on there. You can get these in sizes from I think 16 to 20 inches in diameter, and in the wider wheels, it has a really aggressive like concave face to it. And for tires, we have gone with Continental's Extreme Contact DWS 06. I actually recently put a set of these on my wife's car, and they are a fantastic street tire. They're really quiet, they have excellent rain performance and really good dry grip. It's basically an ultra high performance all season tire. As you can see, it's got like this really aggressive center section that will drain water extremely well. And these 3 big circumferential grooves will give it a lot of high speed stability. So when he's cruising down the highway, he can, one finger drive it. And it's got quite a large shoulder block too. So if he's ripping a corner or two, he's gonna have some good grip.
And now I present to you our pimped out CRV. What a transformation. I cannot believe how different this looks. I know it's only a CRV, but wow, I think we did such an amazing job on it. My brother is gonna be so stoked. I'll fire up the car in a second so we can hear the intake and the exhaust, but before I do that, check out the amazing blend job. Dave, you just came in with a buffing pad here, right? And just clean this up and
Yeah, kind of a medium compound and then a finishing compound.
yeah,
and
this
turned out
area
great.
looks so good now.
We're driving,
We are.
and man, it rides exceptionally well.
Holy smokes, it's like not harsh at all.
No.
And it's just firmer. It doesn't have kind of that bounciness. Yeah, man, like I'm blown away. It feels so
Wow.
much better.
The tires help a lot too, obviously,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that turn-in response. It really feels a lot sportier, doesn't
For
it?
sure it does.
Woo.
All right, well, let's see what this thing sounds like. Oh yeah, listen to that intake.
Yeah, it does have that little bit of intake growl to it now, but it's still very like reasonable.
For sure it does. And the exhaust is great. I think it's
When you get on it, it's got a bit
Yeah,
of growl,
I'll just-
but when you're off it, it's quiet.
Yeah, I'll get on it right here.
Yeah,
that's the B series, baby.
It's got some good noises. I almost said VTEC, but there's no VTEC here.
No.
This is the no tech. It still sounds like a B series though.
Is it just me or does it feel faster?
It does feel faster. The sound maybe tricks your mind to think it's faster, but it really does feel faster. I think the sporty ride quality makes it feel faster too, because you're feeling a bit more.
For sure. And look at that, at idle, you can't even hear the exhaust,
you
so it's
can't.
really nice. Like if you just start driving, you can hear it just coming up, and it's just a nice deep tone
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
No rasp.
No
Like the more I
drone
increase
either,
throttle, it just like comes up, and then you can start hearing the intake.
Yeah.
So you've got both intake and exhaust
But
noises.
done very subtly. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
just
really-
kind of what you want for a daily driver.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob is here, and I'm super pumped to show him. So let's see. I told him to park outside. He's coming in right now. He's coming.
Ah.
Hey, Jake, what's up, man?
What's going on, Pete?
How are you?
Good, good.
Good. Well, we took care of your oil pan, and we did a little bit more on your car here, man.
Wow.
What do you think? Is this the
It looks
CRV
like-
that you
It
remember?
looks like a completely different car.
Yeah. Isn't it awesome?
Yeah.
So we did a full polish. Dave went to town on the paint and like took care of it. What are you looking at? What do you see
Cleaned
there?
up my rust.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
right.
amazed you spotted that
That's
so
right. Look
quick.
at this. Our buddy Luke from 242 Customs came in and like sprayed this corner up, and we buffed it up. Like it looks so much better than before, right?
Oh yeah. Wow, the bumper.
Yeah.
Oh,
we,
man.
We painted the bumpers.
You remember they were like gray plastic before?
Those aren't my hack job headlights either.
No. You did those headlights?
Embarrassingly, yeah.
Man,
That's
I was talking how bad they were, like cheap eBay retrofit. So now you have a proper retrofit. These are brand new headlights. From the retrofit source, these are Morimoto DS2 projectors. These are like
So no more flickering kind of.
no, these are awesome, man. You're gonna absolutely love it. We put K1 Street coilovers on this thing,
Awesome.
so it
Now
is
it's
a
gonna-
little bit more lowered, as you can see. These are 17x8 Koenig oversteer wheels with some Continental Extreme Contact DWS 06 tires, so they're all seasons and whatnot. And let's look under the hood, DP. Let's show them what we did
That's
under
right.
here.
That's right. Your valve cover was looking a little rough there, Jake.
This
Not
thing
gonna lie,
was
buddy.
a
Yeah,
mess
that,
under here. Check it out!
Oh, nice.
Look at that valve cover.
Nice.
Obviously, we dropped in an intake for a little bit more noise. You've got a brand new Yonaka Motorsport exhaust system on this thing, so she is
Awesome.
fully pimped out, man.
Awesome. Wow, that is a lot more than I bargained for. This thing looks great.
Well,
Oh, and
you
we
know what?
fixed your oil pan leak too, by the
Oh,
way.
that's right, we
Well, that was
did.
the whole thing that you were supposed to do.
Yeah, and
No
it was-
more oil spots on my driveway.
No, and it was a tough job. A lot more work than we
It was
expected.
a huge job to fix that, yeah.
But yeah, man, it.
Well worth it.
Oh yeah, right in the back.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's
Spoiler.
You
I
did
keep
the
forgetting,
back
I'm so
bumper, you
excited.
did-
So we did the bumper here. We've got this. Check this out. This is like actually an OEM spoiler from a CRV. These are super hard to find. I lucked out and found it used. So we just had it painted up, and I think it just adds like a really good look to the rear.
Oh,
Obviously
yeah.
new taillights as well.
No more leaky lights for me.
No, it's looking great. So
The rear bumper matches everything else. How did you cleaned all this up too?
Yeah, I polished that as well. Yeah.
Awesome! Wow.
So 2 days of polishing you owe me, Jake. So
Yeah.
next time I get a new car, I'm coming over.
This looks fantastic.
well, we just wanted to.
Unbelievable.
We just wanted to thank you. You know, you're always doing the merchandise for us, and we know it's a lot of your time.
Especially at our lapping days, you come out and you don't even get to do any driving. You just like,
and
sell
you're
our
always
stuff
helping
for
us
us.
out. So you know, this is just a big thank you
Thank you.
for being a great brother and just helping us out with this, because we certainly do appreciate it. It takes so much off Dave and I's plate to not have to deal with the merchandise. So thank you very much, and hopefully you're going to enjoy this car for many years to come now.
Just
Oh,
see-
I will gladly drive this with pride.
It's like a new car, and there's no hugging because this is COVID season.
That's right.
So,
That's right. We'll,
6
Just
feet.
give a 6 foot high five to each
that's
other.
right.
please.
So
Let's
we'll
go.
we'll end it at that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Pimp My CRV series. Hopefully we will do a couple more this year, because this is pretty cool for me. Here's the railroad tracks. Whoa, it's a little bit of a hit there.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's lowered.
Yeah. Did we hit like the front bumper maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
you went pretty aggressive.
Yeah,
That's a bumpy
I
set
think I
of
went a
tracks.
full send there.